It's a beautiful April day here at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center, and we're staring at garlic. Hi, everybody. Farmer Fred on the road with Dan Vieira, Sacramento County Master Gardener, and we're standing before a raised bed full of garlic. And Dan, I know how fond you are of garlic. What are you growing at home?
This year, I'm growing two varieties. I'm not growing any at home this year. I'm growing onions at home, but I am growing garlic at the community garden that I'm involved in. And the varieties this year are Spanish Roja and Music.
Music you've been singing the praises of for years.
It's one of the most popular, sort of boutique garlics. It has huge cloves. It's great for roasting, and it tastes wonderful. So I plant quite a bit of that. I usually plant that every year. It only has maybe 6 to 8 cloves. Maybe 6 is closer to it most of the time. So you don't get as many cloves, but they're twice as big as a standard garlic clove. The Spanish Roja, which is a very popular variety, I planted that several times, and it is a little spicy. If you like the spicy shot of garlic, it's wonderful, and it's a smaller clove of garlic, but it's very good. Highly recommended for area gardeners.
Another nice feature of the Music garlic, and I grew it for the first time last year, it stores for a long time. If you keep it in a cool, dry location, it can last for months.
Yeah, I still have some and still use it. I harvested in late May a year ago, last year in late May, so I still have some that's usable. And I store mine in the bottom of a kitchen cabinet where it's dark and cool.
Good place for it, yeah. It's the other place that most people have is under a bed. You just have to leave yourself signs to remind you where it is.
Yeah, and make sure if you have a housekeeper, they know that you have garlic stored under there and it's not some toxic substance.
Yeah, okay. So here at the Fair Oaks Horticulture Center, they're growing a wide variety of garlic here. We're standing in front of the Enchilium Red, which is an excellent variety to grow. And even though garlic won't be harvested around here till maybe late June, probably July more than likely, there are things that gardeners, if they have garlic coming up, they need to do this time of year. And not the least of which, now that plants are putting on their active growth spurt, is maybe give them a shot of fertilizer.
Yeah, I fertilize my garlic about every 3 to 4 weeks with fish emulsion. Just mix it in a watering can and pour it on. And they seem to love that. And if you're planting a hardneck variety, they have scapes, these little curly Q, like a pigtail coming up the middle. You want to clip those off. It helps the head of the garlic get much larger, and if you leave them on, it sort of sucks the energy out of the plant. So clip those off, and you can use them in stir fries. You can use them in scrambled eggs, chop them up like an onion, and they have a really great flavor.
And those scapes, as you mentioned, are the curly Q leaves that come out. They're very obvious when you see them. The other obvious thing you're going to see is what looks like, and we see this on this Spanish Beneti variety garlic here. It looks like it's about to set a flower.
Yeah, I've never planted this variety, but it does have some strange things going on about it. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with those yet. So.
Well, if it is a flower, keep it or let it go.
I would not keep it, but that's just me.
Well, a lot of people do that because if you do cut it off, that sends that energy back to the bulbs. Sometimes if you let the flowers grow on, you end up with some rather hard garlic that is difficult to work with. And there's the fact, too, that if you do let it flower, you can eat those flowers and it attracts a whole host of beneficials as well.
Yeah, you can, if you plant garlic, everybody is an expert on different techniques. So if it works for you, go ahead and do it.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I tend to take anything that's sending up a shoot or a flower in the middle off my garlic. So if you want to leave it on there for insects or whatever, that sounds like a good idea too.
It's up to you. What I like to do at home with my garlic is let half flower and then trim off the flowers of the other half. And when they flower, you can use those little flower petals in a salad. They're delicious, or the seeds. And again, the beneficial insects that are attracted to the flower are amazing. So maybe the grand compromise is in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, whatever floats your boat sounds good in the gardening world. as long as you're not destroying the environment or harming yourself.
Now, what about watering garlic this time of year? More or less?
I like to give mine this type of year, when the rain stopped, I like to give mine a little water about every week to 10 days. I don't have mine on drip, so I'm hose dragging, and I use a watering can usually just to give it some moisture. But you want to cut the water off as soon as about half the leaves turn brown, look like they're dying back, which they are. Then you cut the water off about 2 to 3 weeks before you want to harvest. That way you don't, the bulbs aren't going to rot in the ground.
It's a good idea, and make sure when you grow garlic, if you've never grown it, it's in an area with really good drainage like what they are here in raised beds. And I think it's a good idea, and they probably have it here, is every bed probably has its own watering system. So if you do have a bed dedicated to garlic, you can turn off the water, say in mid-June or late June, and not harm anybody else.
Right, yeah. If you do have raised beds, or you could even set up a valve on an in-ground bed just to shut off if you have tape or inline emitters. It's always a good idea to be able to shut off a bed of water. I have it on all my beds at home, shut off, where you can, if you're not planting anything, why would you want to water the soil?
So again, the key to look for when to harvest garlic is look at the leaves. They usually have 7 leaves, and perhaps when 3 or 4 of them have brown, that's the time to dig it up. What do you do immediately after digging it up? How do you cure them?
Well, to check for if it's ready or not, I just gently lift it with a digging fork, and I'll lift it out of the ground a little bit and check the head and make sure it's separated and all the cloves are ready to go. If it's not, I'll gently tap it back in the ground. So it's a good idea to check 1 or 2 before you start digging. And also, once you do harvest your garlic, you cut the stalk off and leave well, actually, I don't cut the stalk off. I take that back. I leave it on, and I tie it together with a string and hang it under my lemon tree in the shade and let it sit for about 2 to 3 weeks so it's cured and ready to go, so it'll store better. And then I I cut off the leaves, the rest of it, and just leave a little stem about maybe a ½ inch to an inch sticking out on the head. And then I put it in a wicker basket because the air seems to circulate better in wicker. And then store it underneath, like I said before, in a dark cabinet somewhere.
And that's, what, about a 2-week process of drying?
Yeah, I usually use mine cure mine about 2 weeks. Yeah, under a tree. You can use it. You just don't want it to get direct sunlight at all. So you want to keep it pretty much in the shade and make sure it has air circulation around your clump. You can put 8 or 10 heads of garlic, just tie them together and just hang them together. I usually do that and have big giant clumps of garlic hanging all over my tree.
Well, if people don't want the hanging forest in their yard, they can probably take a wire table, something with a lot of ventilation, maybe put that on the north side of their house and put the garlic together with that and maybe cover the heads up by bending the leaves over them.
Yeah, I've used big wire baskets in the past. Just put them inside the wire basket, and then I don't cover them, but if you put them on the east side of your house or somewhere where there's a lot of shade, you'll probably be all right. Just so you don't want a lot of hot, direct sun on your garlic when it's curing.
All right, give us your favorite garlic recipe now.
Well, I use garlic in just about everything. I roast a lot of garlic. I like the music for roasting. I like it when you squeeze the clove and it comes out like butter. Just spread it on some nice toasty bread and put some cheese on it or whatever you like, roasted peppers, and it's absolutely delicious.
The man who loves his garlic. Dan Vieira, Sacramento County Master Gardener, telling us about what to do with your garlic this time of year and later on as the summer comes in. Dan, thanks for a few minutes of your time.
My pleasure, Fred.